Now, as I continue to break down this video, if you didn't check out part one, I want you guys to go back and check out part one. So I'm going to start at the 7 minute and 35-second mark because there's a lot of deception and narrative twists by Roland Martin, and now his minions are going to jump in on this as they continue to pretty much push the narrative. That way, black people can go back and vote for the Democratic Party. Now, as we get into this video right here, you guys, we're going to start at this female panelist that's on the Roland Martin's podcast or show as she attacks DJ Academic. I also want to point out that she acts like this doesn't happen on the Democratic side of the ball, paying the cheapest Negro to sell their BS to the black community just to get their vote, right? It happens on both sides of the ball.
Randy, can you hear me?
I hear you fine.
There you go. Now we can hear you.
Okay, this is a classic case of the search of the cheapest Negro. Yes, they are paying him quite well. By cheap, I'm talking about having some boundaries, to have some pride in yourself and not be willing just to sell your entire race out, because he knows who Rumble is, but he's taking the bait and the price. So it's a case of the cheapest Negro, in my opinion, and it's just unfortunate. It's just unfortunate.
And here's the deal. Here's the deal. I don't know. I have never met DJ Academics. I have no idea. I don't know decision to sign. I don't know what he signed for. What I do know, Larry, who Rumble is.
Now, she tries to attack DJ Academic, saying that he knows what Rumble is up to. She doesn't know this to be true or absolute. But if you want to talk about selling your people out, we can talk about Mark Lamont Hill. We can talk about Roland Martin. We can talk about all the people on the Democratic side of the ball. Knowing well that the black community is underserved by the Democratic Party, we see Roland Martin, he was actually willing to lose his job, and he did lose his job over the Democratic Party. I want to reference this article right here. It's going to be in the description. This article actually talks about why CNN will not meet with the National Association of Black Journalists if Roland Martin is present with them. Now, you can catch that in the description below. Read that, and you will actually get a lot of information out of that. They kind of tell you who Roland Martin is. So while we're talking about selling out and we're talking about unethical behavior, CNN will actually not meet with the National Association of Black Journalists because of Roland Martin and what he did in his past.
Know what their strategy is. I do know exactly what they're trying to do. And I'm not going to sit here again. I don't, they might say, oh, no, we're trying to be, this is how we're trying to do it. Nah, see, here's the whole deal. We know exactly what is going on here. And I need y'all to understand, okay, this is from Pew. See, y'all, this is from Pew, December 21st, 2022. Key facts about Rumble. Right here. While 20% of US adults say they have heard of Rumble, only 2% regularly get news there. Overall, just 6% of Americans regularly get news from at least one of the 7 sites studied, and no single site is used for news by more than 2% of US adults. Now, here's the key. I need y'all to understand what's going on here. This is from Pew. This is not, you want to know who's neutral? It's Pew. Roughly 3/4 of those who regularly get news from Rumble, that 76% identify as Republicans or lean toward the Democratic Party, while 22% identify as Democrats or lean Democrat. Larry, this is Rumble's attempt to bring black people to Rumble to not just listen to his show, but the other shows on the platform. Game recognized.
So actually, that's important information because 20% of adults in the United States have heard of Rumble, right? Yet only 2% of it utilize Rumble as their news source. Also, 22% of Rumble viewers lean Democrat. So Roland is complaining about a platform that is stated that already 22% they lean Democrats, 2% are independent, which combined is 24%, right? Yet instead of competing on Rumble, where there's an audience, Roland is complaining on YouTube, where he's safe. Now I'm wondering if Roland numbers are paid for? You know, you have to ask that question. And why can't he go to Rumble and bring his audience over there and compete?
You laid it out really well, Roland, and it sounds like they're going after all the right-wing hoteps in the black community, basically. But if brothers are watching this, don't fall for the banana and tailpipe. You highlighted what they're trying to do in terms of this new partnership. And like you said, I'm quite sure he got paid handsomely, but no money is worth selling out the community. And I think another thing that's really important, Roland, in terms of we talk about elections, you know, black people make about 13% of the U.S. population. When it comes to these national elections, particularly presidential elections, it's important for some way Republicans to peel off black voters, whether it's those individuals who decide not to vote. You've talked about that a lot on your show, or individuals, like I said, these kind of right-wing hoteps who decide, well, I'm not going to vote Democrat because they don't care about me, and I'm going to vote Republican. And so what that is, it makes it easier in some of these swing states to win. So once again, I need brothers who are watching this, and then you laid it out perfectly. You need to talk to black men in barbershops, mosques, churches, etc., playing ball, whatever you're doing in the gym, to tell them don't fall for this. And then once again, it's really important to remember which parties focus on healthcare, education, and making sure that your civil rights are protected.
Now, Mustafa, again, let's go back to Pew.
I'm not sure what a right-wing hotep is, but notice how he's repeating the same talking points as you heard from the previous woman, calling people who vote Republican traitors and sellouts. He doesn't apply that to any of the people that he see in the Democratic Party, people who are telling us to go vote Democrat, even though the Democrats aren't offering the black community anything, such as Roland Martin, Al Sharpton, Benjamin Dixon, and the list goes on. Also, notice how he's taking shots at the black community, telling us to go talk to our brothers at the barbershops, the basketball events, the churches, and so on like that, as if black people don't own businesses, as if we're not in the banks, as if we're not trying to compete in society like everyone else. Now, I think that's a low ball shot from him. He also mentioned that the Republicans are trying to peel off as many black voters as they possibly can. Now, that is true for some. I will agree to that. But other people are wise enough to know that the Democrat Party aren't offering us anything, so I go vote Democrat. And if the Republicans aren't offering us anything, why vote Republican? So I would say you need to go to whoever you believe has the best option for yourself. Now, me, myself, I vote third party, and I have been voting third party for some time now because I don't see any interest in the Democrat or Republican. But I'm pretty sure that he'll just call me one of these right-wing hoteps because I don't vote the Democrat and I'm black. He also pointed out that the Democrats are helping us when it comes to education, civil rights, and, of course, healthcare. Last time I checked, Democratic cities' educations are not performing well. People have medical bills out their ass because in these Democratic cities, the hospitals are overcharging. On top of this, the Democrats have helped insurance agencies and medical agencies increase the prices, and they also have been on the attack of unions. By not capping these prices, they're actually charging American citizens more than what is necessary. So Joe Biden took that C-19 money and gave it to the police. He didn't give it to the people for them to pay off their medical bills, or he didn't give it to the hospitals for they can charge less. He gave it to the police. So during the pandemic healthcare scare, our president took the money of C-19 and gave it to the police, not the medical field. That is the Democrats. I'm not going to get into the whole civil rights conversation because we know that Joe Biden is trying to get rid of Miranda rights via the Supreme Court. But if you don't know, Joe Biden is trying to use the Supreme Courts to get rid of Miranda rights. Now, if you don't know what Miranda rights are, it's pretty much what police officers read to you once you get arrested. And Joe Biden wants to get rid of that, which will leave American citizens more vulnerable.
We go to the big number as to why Rumble signed DJ Academics. Right here. Boom. 67% of Rumble's users are white. 5%, Mustafa, are black. 23% are Hispanic. 1% is Asian. This right here, 5% black, 17%, 1829. That right there, Mustafa, is why Rumble signed DJ Academics to that big deal, because they want to target black people, but specifically black men in anticipation of the 2024 election.
That's it right there. There's intentionality, and folks need to realize that folks literally have strategies about how to win these elections, how to utilize social media, how do you get the right influencers, just sharing at first some general information, and then as time goes by, they begin to change that information, and before you know it, you've been indoctrinated into sort of the right-wing way of thinking about this country. You start to think, well, you know what? Maybe my community doesn't really need all of these resources, or maybe things are not as bad as people say they are. So you got to be really careful, because there's a lot of pimping that goes on, and we often don't pay attention to it until after we done been pimped. So folks need to, one, educate yourself, understand this game that is being played, and then make sure that you are not allowing this misinformation to take over your thinking.
Now, I agree with that statement right there. There's a lot of pimping going on out here. Black folks have been voting for the Democrats around 90% for decades, right? A bad investment, in my opinion. The black community aren't getting any resources they need, but they have been voting overwhelmingly for Democrats. And Roland's platform, pushing black people to the Democratic Party, pretty much what he does every election cycle. So is Roland Martin pimping the black community? Is Roland Martin giving out misinformation in relation to the Democratic Party? If Mustafa, whatever his name is telling the truth, and by his own words, because of the deprivations of resources to the black community, are we being pimped out?
Look, folks, let me be perfectly clear. Again, I just want to walk you through this so you understand here. The deal is here. I'm not saying they're going to control his content, but I need you to understand, if he brings eyeballs and he brings viewers and users, they then are seeing the commercials of the other content folks. They are now seeing the other voices. That's what the strategy is. And so y'all just need to understand, game, recognize game, what's going on here. And I'm telling you right now, I see it all the time when black men are trying to attack me. Oh, look at you shilling for the Democrats. They're not listening to what I'm saying. They're not listening to what I'm saying about conservative federal judges refusing to let black men out of prison. They're not saying anything about the actual policies. They're not saying anything about people like Republican Senator Tom Cotton, who said more people should be in prison. Y'all better recognize how they're trying, Republican Party, their plan is to try to peel off more black men in the next election. Brothers, they're targeting you.
Roland Martin right there just mentioned how the Republican Party is targeting black folks for prison. And he's trying to scare black people to go vote for the Democratic Party. Now, I would argue that the Republican and the Democratic Party are targeting black people and people in general, but mostly black people, for prison, right? Because prison is for profit. And let's not forget that Joe Biden is behind the crime bill, which led to a mass incarceration of black folks. So he's talking about the Republicans, and what he is not telling you about is how the Democrats have also helped the Republicans or helped themselves in general. Because let's face it, a lot of these Democratic politicians, they're invested into these prisons. And as I mentioned before, Biden tried to get the Miranda rights removed via the Supreme Court. Biden also is funding the police with the C-19 money. Not education, not medical, not society, just the police. So while Roland Martin is once again trying to lay everything at the feet of the Republican Party, he doesn't even for once start to look at the Democratic Party and what they have been doing to lock a lot of people up in these prisons. So right there, Roland Martin he's just a criminal mind individual, in my opinion. I'm not going to cover the last 4 minutes of this. I don't think it's important to the conversation, but this is how Roland Martin tries to twist the whole narrative and attack DJ Academics for signing over to Rumble. He doesn't see that DJ Academic is going over there to compete, and he's also getting paid. Now, isn't that what we want people to do? To get paid and compete in the marketplace, right? Now, Roland Martin himself, I have to wonder about his YouTube channel. I have to wonder, are those numbers fixed? And I have to wonder who's paying him at the end of the day. Because we all know that the Roland Martin has been clicked up with the Democrats for a long period of time, and now he's on YouTube and other platforms pushing the Democratic Party. Now, if Roland Martin was actually about competition, wouldn't he be over there on Rumble competing and saying that, you know what, I can top DJ Academics? And if black people are going to vote for the Democratic Party, can Roland Martin at least tell us why we're going to be voting for the Democratic Party? Like, what's the agenda? In my opinion, the agenda needs to be focused on economics. Now, we can focus on other social issues and all that, but I think economics is going to be one of the primary topics that I'm going to be focused on when it comes to 2024 and these other midterm elections, especially on the local level. What's going on you guys' local level? If you want to drop a comment in the channel, tell me what's going on local level in your city, state, or whatever. Let me know. Let me know about the important things that's going on, because the local elections are more important than the federal elections. But people like Roland Martin want to keep you on that train to where you are depending on the federal government, which does less for you than the local government. Remember, it's the local government that can shut down streets. It's the local government that can actually turn these facilities into a place where society can utilize them, or they can turn these facilities into a private entity for some company to come in and privatize it and make buku money off of it, while the community is not getting anything out of it at all. Now that's all I wanted to say in this part 2 of the breakdown. But thanks for, if you guys are still here, thanks for joining me. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate you watching this content. And I'm going to continue monitoring our friend Roland Martin and other bootlegs just like him, because I have another bootleg that Roland Martin has clicked up with that I really want to